And welcome, guys. This is Duval LeBlanc here, and this is going to be the start of my Azure project. I kind of wanted to go ahead and start getting my hands dirty with more Azure stuff, and there's a few projects that I looked up and researched a bit, and one that really piqued my interest was one made by this YouTuber. They're called Made by GPS, and they had this link to this YouTube video and their GitHub and everything, explaining how you can make an Azure resume and the steps that you need to take, the prerequisites of all the stuff you'll need, like software and everything. And it's something that parts of the implementation and the building of it is kind of still a little over my knowledge, and that's good because I want to know more about it. So I wanted to just start doing this, right? I want to do my search stuff, but I want to also have like some hands-on skill building. So once again, I am a regular. I am not. I am a beginner in cloud. I am not secretly a cloud enthusiast group. This is just someone who wants to begin a project, document what I've been doing and everything, and hopefully in the end I've built my nice Azure resume on the site. So with that being said, let's start and let's start. All right, so let's get started here. And first things first. So this is the GitHub repo for the project. It's the Made by GPS one. So, and here it just kind of goes over a little of what to expect from this project here. And they also link to a YouTube and the actual live site. So this is the actual end result. This is what we're going to be building, or what I'm going to be building. And it looks great. This is the first page. It has a visitor counter here. So it says 13, 14, 15, 16. So they got 34,000 people already viewed this. It's amazing. Has some social media links and about me, talking about themselves a little bit, certifications. This is their work resume. So it's sleek. It's beautiful. I love it. So um, that's what we're going to make. So that's what I'm going to make. So first things first, the prereqs. Oh, it actually has a little explanation here. This is my Cloud Resume Challenge built on Azure. It's a static website hosted on Azure Storage with a visitor counter built on Azure Functions. The website is built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The visitor counter is built with .NET and Azure Functions. If you would like to build your own, here's the YouTube video. So, and that goes to this video here, which you can watch at your own convenience. I'm watching it myself, and that's what I'm pretty much going off of. So, um, we're going to start with the Notion notes. So, first things first, Azure Resume Project. So this is my Notion notes for this project. I made it, and I'm going to link the notes for Notion in the description, and I'm going to link all the prerequisite like files and stuff you're going to need in the description. So I just wrote this here. This will be a project of developing a resume hosted from Azure services, and I put the link of the video and everything. I'll be working on this project on my PC, Windows 11, and my MacBook Air, just some details. First things first, setting up. Download Docker. So we're going to go to Docker, and you're going to download this. Okay, Docker is the containerized environment that we're going to need. When you're done and you've downloaded Docker and it's running, it's going to look something like this on your end. And the containers and stuff, it comes with this nice little welcome to Docker container, and it's kind of it's just a test, like a hello world. And if you see here, it says it points to 88 and port 80 as a test, which is the default web server port that you can use. So when you turn it on, so it's on right now, and when we click to that, it brings us to this page. Congratulations, you ran your first container. So it's pretty much proving that it works. So that's nice. And so if you didn't know, port 80 is the port used for HTTPS, and I believe 8088 is the web server um, no, port for that to host for. I forgot the details on that, but yeah. So that's Docker. It works. It's installed. So next, this will manage the container. Docker can be installed on Mac OS and Windows. Next, create an Azure account. So if we go here, this is my Azure account. It's already made. I've already been shown in the other videos, so that's done already for me. Next, we will need an Azure account so we can deploy our website and Azure functions. Next, create, download GitHub. So definitely, if you're at this point in this Azure stuff, you should already have a GitHub. You should already have a GitHub account where you're forking repos and reading up on code and doing like another thing that's GitHub is great for is this code space. Using code spaces, so I can go into this repo that she has and make a code space. It uses VS Code, and then you can like work in an IDE environment in the cloud off GitHub. It's great. Yeah, so you should have a GitHub by now. 100% should have a GitHub. Next, it's for CI/CD tooling. If you don't know, CI, it stands for continuous integration, and CD is continuous deployment. So you're constantly at work and updating whatever the thing is. So that's why we're using GitHub for that. Next, download the .NET SDK. So I went and I got that. I got the 8.0. In the video, that video was made like 2-3 years ago, and at the time they were recommending 3.1. That's not in support anymore, so I didn't want to get that, so I got 8.0. Hopefully it doesn't interfere too much with this project, but we'll see, right? It's a cross-platform open source framework we'll be using to develop our Azure function. Next, download Azure Functions core tools. Allows us to develop Azure Functions locally on our own machines. So that's it right here. This is where you can download it, and I'm going to put that in the description as well, of course. Next thing, Azure Functions core tools. Download VS Code, the code editor we'll be using for both our front end and back end programming. Definitely download Visual Studio Code. I'll put the link in there, and basically I have it downloaded and opened already. When you do, I signed in and I downloaded Git for this so that I can link my my GitHub account so I can clone repositories, and most importantly, I can close that repository of the Azure project on VS Code. Next thing is the dev containers, the environment that we're going to work this in. It's here. So this is pretty much what this is, the containerized environment. It has like explanation of what it is and everything in there. So Docker has to be running while it's open. Okay. So that's done. Next, download C# extension for VS Code. So get the C# extension. I believe there's an explanation that they write to. A set of commands used to create and manage Azure resources. So that's that. Download dev containers, the last one we're going to need. So dev containers, you're going to need that as well. Gives a little explanation. The dev containers extension lets you use a Docker container as a full-featured development environment. Whether you deploy the containers or not, containers make a great development environment because you can develop with a consistent, easily reproducible tool chain on the same operating system you deployed to. So definitely going to need that. So yeah, the end result is a website that will have a visit counter, links to my social media accounts, and an About Me page and my resume. And here's a little diagram of what exactly is being built that I got from the video. The blob storage, this is where most of the solution will live and where it will hold the static website and resume. In the website, it will be using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So that's where the JavaScript is coming in. Azure Functions, which is this symbol right here. The JavaScript is going to be used to implement a visitor counter. Since Azure Functions are only initiated only by a trigger, since Azure Functions are initiated only by a trigger, the visitor counter JavaScript code will trigger the Azure function. Not only will it be used to display that information, but also to call an API, which we're going to implement with an Azure function. So basically, the Azure function, it can only be triggered by an event. So the JavaScript code is going to be what gets the visitor counter to what's building it. The counter is going to be initiating that event that the function can then do things to, or it could actually start working because it has to be triggered by something. And then that's going to call an API, which will be going on to the next thing, Azure Cosmos DB, the database. The Azure function is going to interact with Azure Cosmos DB, which is the database service will be storing our visitor counter information. That's what that's going to be used for. Azure CDN is be used for enable features like HTTPS and custom domain support for our static site. So yeah, that's where we're getting the domain stuff so that it can DNS is what, if you have an IP address of something, the DNS is what transcribes that to text so that it's understandable for people to read instead of having to constantly put in an IP. So anyway, GitHub, for all the CI/CD tooling, we're going to be using GitHub. CI stands for continuous integration, and CD stands for continuous development. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All of this stuff is here. Here's the Git. I'm gonna put that in there too. GitHub for desktop. I got that for myself, just for myself to have, since I use GitHub so much. The Docker.net, the C#, the Azure CLI, Azure Functions. Oh, the Azure CLI. I don't think I put that in there. I should definitely. The Azure CLI. Is that in there? No, that's not in there. Ooh, I forgot to put that. The Azure CLI is definitely necessary. So, the command line interface necessary for running Azure commands. Remember, the Azure CLI is for Azure commands, so you can download that. So you can just download that. The Azure Command Line Interface is a cross-platform command line tool that can be installed locally on Windows computers. You can use this to connect to Azure and execute administrative commands on Azure resources. So, that's what it's basically doing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Once again, I am a noob. I am starting out. I'm not a guru, engineer, architect, DevOps. I'm not that. I'm just someone starting. I want to do this to get my hands dirty in the Azure stuff. Make my own resume and stuff to do stuff like that, and just have a better understanding of when they're doing the certifications and everything, what they're referring to and stuff. So that's pretty much what my goal is here. I want to learn. So that's what I want to do. So with that being said, that's pretty much it for this video. It's just a getting started video to show you what I needed to install at first and to begin doing this stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Once again, if you did, please leave a comment, share, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing way more videos. So hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you guys later. Duval, LeBlanc. Peace.